I'm revisiting Invention 1, and I'm just going to go through the phrasing. I hear two parts to the subject. I hear the rolling 16th notes. I have a very wavy pattern. And then I hear the unfolding of the second part of the subject, the 8th notes. And they kind of trickle off across the measure. It's very easy to slam down on the end of the subject when it crosses over into the next measure. You have to like finish breathing that and then a new breath. And also, I don't think so much of every note being articulated. I think of principal notes that I want to hear as I phrase it or shape it. And the principal notes I hear when I begin is this. So I don't want to hear too much. So you should be really careful that you do taper that phrase off across the measure. And then you're going to start the subject again on the dominant level, that is on the 5th note, which rolls up 4 notes. And I'm going to think of, again, my melodic thread is. And then we're coming down, falling down. So that's the two parts of it that are so important. On the left hand, you have pieces of that subject. You don't have the complete subject with all of the 8th notes. You have the 16th notes and then just 2 of the 8th notes in there. But I still shape it the same way because I'm thinking. And then we have the overlap. So I'm not slamming down on those downbeats, and it makes it very stylistically nice. So this is tapering down instead of blasting that. We're starting a new subject on the dominant. Fall down. Okay, now we have the upside down of the subject, because the subject, as we knew it, went up 4 notes, skipped down, stepped up, skipped down. Now he's taking that subject, only the 16th portion, and he's stepping down 4 notes. And he's doing the opposite. He's skipping up, stepping down, skipping up, and he's going to do it again in sequence. So he's taking the subject, just half of the subject, and coming down, skip up, step down, skip up, instead of. So you can see coming down 4 notes again. So when you play it, you have to be aware of that. Now, at the same time that he's inverted the subject and come down 4 notes and then skipped up, stepped down, his left hand is taking the first 4 notes of the subject and stretching them out into 8th notes, so that instead of walking up 4 notes in 16th notes, the left hand starts with 8th notes, and we call that augmentation. It's only the first 4 notes, like of the scale. Instead of C, D, E, F, he's doing B, C, D, E. Going to a different part of the keyboard. That's okay. Does it again. Now he extends it here, not just 4 notes, but he goes continuous to there. So it's interesting that what's happening there is you have the inverted subject above, and you have the augmentation of the right side up subject, but going in larger note values against the right hand. So you have the juxtaposition of opposite direction of the subject coming down in 16ths and proper direction of the 4 notes going up, but extended into 8th notes, augmented. It's called augmentation. So we need to do that. Now, how does that factor into playing? Well, it factors into the fact that as you play it, you want to be aware that you went upside down. You also want to be aware of the convergence of the 2 voices when you have the 2 different elements happening in terms of the counterpoint. So let's see how we can play that out so that we listen to the upside down when it comes with the right side up augmented left hand. Start something new. Now this is the upside down subject again. Now this is pieces of the subject right here. Where does he get that from? He had this instead of doing skipping down, stepping up, he's doing the opposite. Skipping up, stepping down, skipping up, stepping down, skipping up. So he took that little fragment of the subject, and instead of going skipping down, stepping up, skipping down, he took a piece of it and he did the reverse. It doesn't have to be in the same notes. It could be another key, part of another key that's expressed. Here he's doing skipping up, stepping down, and he keeps doing it. You have to be aware of that. So it creates a certain intensity because he's doing these fragments in close quarters to each other, and they have a crescendo, or you should do a crescendo because they're getting higher and higher. So here's what's happening here. I'm done. Now here comes these fragments. Finally, cadence. Okay, just 3 lines. We've had a lot of different treatments of pieces of the subject, of augmentation, of inverting the subject or doing it backwards, and then pieces of the subject that are also done backwards. So that's just 3 lines, and we've had all that. And that's important because you want to flesh that out. So if we can keep going back, we have to tune our ears to that, and also tune our ears to the left hand, overlapping again the subject here. Whenever we have that, we have to shape that nicely. Again, my shape is so that I don't get that notey sounding playing. So that's already, giving us an idea of what he does, either overlapping the subject with the 16ths, or doing augmentation, or doing reversal of the subject in the other direction, or taking a piece of the subject and reversing it and then stacking it in a crescendo of little fragments going up. So that all happens. Now that's basically what's happening in this. Now if we continue, we're going to see the same thing happening. This time he's sort of talking back and forth. Now sometimes we have conversations where we don't have that much overlap, but we have a conversation with this idea, which is a piece of the subject. Now the left hand has its chance. And here comes the right hand. Now we're just going back and forth, conversing. Surprise. Now sometimes these harmonic shifts are beautiful, like right here. He was in C major all that time. Now he puts a C sharp in, and he does a dominant or secondary dominant of D minor. It's one of the most beautiful places because he's given us a lot of G major and C major in the first page, but now suddenly on the second page, in the second part, that would be measure 10, he's inviting us into the D minor, which sneaks in with the upside down subject, a piece of it, but this makes it so beautiful. You have to make something that. So if you go back a little, conversation. Here comes the now the backward subject in sequence. So you can see that sort of gives you that intensity because he takes pieces of the subject, dee 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 da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da dee da. The 8th notes are gone now, right? And he's just taking the first half of the subject and inverting it down. And then the other poignant thing is when he does this, the key changes. We already spotted that poignant C sharp here. And by the way, when he did this, he has the augmented subject going up 4 notes and enlarged into 8th notes. So already those are the components we see. But again, the key changes are poignant and one must flesh out the beauty of a key change. What's happening is this upside down subject's in the left and the right side up augmentation of the 4 notes is in the right hand, and that's the melodic minor. But suddenly we have an A minor melodic coming in here, extended. It's totally beautiful when he does that. So I'm going to go back to 9, C major. Surprise. through that because it's so poignant. He's now in the melodic minor. He's in the minor universe. He's continuing these sequential lines of the upside down subject, and they're going down, but they're getting more and more. So we're building to the climax, which is where the hands converge and they have the same 16th rhythm in both hands, 16th notes. And Bach often does that. He kind of wants to get to the point where you're not having a lapse between overlapping subject, or where you're conversing, where you have space for each hand. He suddenly brings the hands together as a climax. And that's what's happening there, where let's go back a little, where he does in the D minor, which is totally beautiful, with the augmentation of the 4 notes on top and the upside down subject in the left, because you have crescendo. Here's A minor now. This is A minor. Then you have this convergence. Now we have the subject upside down, right side up. Echo. You can do echoes, right side up. Now here's a subject. So after he has this convergence of the hands, is so beautiful, and he has partly the upside down subject and partly little pieces of the part of the subject where he does this in reverse. We heard that, where he reverses that, and he does in close quarters that repetition. But then he comes back, after he has the convergence of the hands, he comes back to talking back and forth between the upside down subject and both hands paired together, and then answering in the right side up pieces of the subject, part of the 16th. And so you could do an echo when you reverse the direction. So when you're coming down in both hands, you can be bigger. Now softer with the right side up. This is like a coda, but it's going to come down with the 4 notes, which are extended. The augmentation. Be aware of that. While he's doing that at the very end, he looks like he's doing the right side up of the subject. Right side up. Pieces of it, of course. This is like a little added, but then the upside down subject. Right side up. I'm really aware of these reverse directions, and I have to also be aware against any right side up or reverse direction that's happening with 2 hands together, that I have flesh out my augmentation of those stepwise notes, the 4 notes. So this is packed with all this. It's amazing what all the ingredients of all the devices that he uses, and you have to be aware of it. I keep going back to this and seeing all kinds of new things, new awakenings.